to make sure that your vote will count. You have a duty to belong to any party of your choice at the very grassroots.
Now let's get rid of this mindset that our votes do not count and get involved in the affairs of the country as it concerns us all, believe it or not. On child protection policy, one of the growing trends which calls for urgent attention in Nigeria today is on incidences of rape, defilement, child abuse, neglect, and maltreatment, and the likes. Lagos State government is prepared to tackle the menace head-on through its safeguarding and child protection program.
In recent times, Lagos has recorded terrible incidences of murder and rape of vulnerable young children. The case of Sylvester Romani, allegedly killed by his mates, remains fresh in the minds. Records have it that the state has witnessed about 2,154 cases of abuse against children from the year 2020. In this auditorium are school administrators, principals, and head of schools gathered to discuss and share opinions on how children can be protected from all forms of abuse in schools.
In promoting the welfare of children and protecting them from harm, all organizations will seek to keep children in their custody safe by one, valuing them, listening to and protecting them, creating an environment to encourage children to develop a positive self-image, encouraging children to develop a sense of independence and autonomy in a way that is appropriate to their age and stage of development, providing a safe and secure environment for all children, sharing information about child protection and good practice with children, parents, staff, and volunteers, sharing concerns with relevant agencies, and involving parents and children appropriately.
These school administrators are ready to hit the ground running by implementing the policies mentioned to protect children against abuse in their schools.
When I get back to my school, I have to call all my colleagues, my teachers, both teaching and non-teaching staff, and explain what I learned here today for them so that they too can adapt it.
The facilitator of the program talks tough, warning defaulters of the children's protection policies.
I always beg school administrators to ensure they adopt this policy. You see, you go get away with so many things. If you break the traffic light, for example, where there is no camera, you get away with it. Are there strong laws for breaking rules of breaking the lights, the rules of the traffic light? There are rules, but until you become the victim, you will never know how bitter it could be. We have strong rules against the schools. If a case is reported and the case of child abuse, it is then the school will feel the pinch or the pain of not doing the right thing.
Children, when groomed progressively, are important to a country's human capital. Therefore, their protection from neglect, abuse, exploitation, and violence is an important aspect and should be given priority. Ngozika or HSE, Plus TV News.
To Kano State now, the federal government has since realized that unless a special educational format was designed for nomads, they wouldn't have access to formal or non-formal education. This was prior to the establishment of the nomadic system of education in Nigeria. Children enrolled in nomadic schools are entitled to instructional materials and exposure to modern education.
33 years after the establishment of nomadic schools in Nigeria, it appears that the purpose for which the nomadic school was established is somewhat frail. A case in point, Sararia Nomadic Education Primary School in Kano, located in Ongongo local government area of the state, about 17 kilometers from Kano metropolis. What greets you is worn-out ceiling boards, meaning when it rains, everyone finds shelter and the learning process is disrupted. In this class, just like several other classes, pupils sit on the floor to study. The children in the class say whenever it rains while teaching is going on, the class is suspended and everyone goes home. They also add that when it rains before resumption hour, they stay back at home. Most of the pupils cannot communicate or comprehend basic instructions in English, even when one of the central mandates for nomadic education is to ensure that pupils are exposed to elementary forms of modern education. This is primary 4, and the pupils don't know the difference between yes and no.
No English?
In this class as well, the students cannot relate to the questions asked.
What is the name of your school? What is the name of your school?
The lack of instructional materials seems to also hamper their learning process. In this decrepit staff room, it is easy to see that the teachers also bear the brunt of the neglect of the school. A community who feels this plight of the school calls on relevant authorities to get to work.
The children in this school are suffering from so many challenges. They do not have instructional materials to aid their learning. They do not have chairs and tables, and their classes are in a deplorable condition, as you can see behind me. If it rains while the children are in class, they are usually sent home because the classes always get filled with water. Most of the parents in this community lack awareness on the importance of education to their children. We are calling on the relevant authorities to look into this.
The absence of a perimeter fencing in this school makes it free to entry and exit by anyone in a time when insecurity is taking its toll on the nation, and Kano is not an exception. Another disturbing situation here is the lack of potable water. A source in the school tells PlusTV News that they have to trek about 500 meters to get water, and whenever students want to ease themselves, they simply do it here. Musa Wada, the coordinator of nomadic education in Kano State, hints that efforts are underway to ensure that schools like Sararia Nomadic Education Primary School is put in good condition.
There are efforts on that direction. There are efforts, especially school improvement programs, projects. Your schools are regularly inspected and monitored on quality control at the local and the state level. And even at zonal level, schools are inspected to see how teachers, how pupils are doing in classrooms.
The irony is that in order to learn basic education, they have to be taught in their mother tongue, as any other language may seem an absolute waste of time.
Now, on the upcoming 2023 general election, Peter Obi visited PDP chieftain Bode George in Lagos to solicit support for his presidential ambition. He believes his credentials as past governor of Anambra State gives him a better chance to run for president. Take a listen. Interests are mounting towards the 2023 general elections, and consultations are being intensified by aspirants.
We must not freeze this country, or it will consume all of us.
Former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi is also meeting stakeholders to garner support for his presidential ambition. He was in Ikoyi to see PDP chieftain Chief Bode George.
I'm aspiring to be given opportunity to serve and change the fortune of this country. There's an issue between Osibanjo and Tinubu, son and father. I said, where we are now, we don't mind who is going to solve it. Son, father, grandchild, anybody who will solve it, let him solve it. Educational qualification is not a measure of integrity. We want people with integrity now that can manage our money well. So no time for certificate, no time for grammar. It is time to work for our country. I urge you to listen to all of us who are aspiring, but look at our backgrounds. Don't just take us on face value. The man who is sharing you money today, check what he was doing 26 years ago. So we know where he's getting the money he's sharing. Because he could be sharing your children's money.
They discussed different political issues, including zoning, Chief George supports those who believe it's the turn of the South to rule Nigeria.
Turn by turn Nigeria Limited. Someday it will come to you, no matter you are minority or majority. Brilliant gift to this nation.
Bode George stated he's not sure of his stand for Obi, but he's one of those eligible.
I cannot tell you my stand now. As a leader, you don't go out and say this is your candidate, this is your candidate, this is not my candidate. He's one of the trusted, responsible, respectable one that is coming. It's still a family thing. When we get to the bridge, we will cross it.
It's to ensure that the candidate with capacity, competence, and commitment to change the trajectory of Nigeria is elected in the primaries as the candidate of the party.
As different aspirants continue to seek support of the political class and the masses, it is important to the electorate to critically examine their track records. This cannot be undermined in our quest for a candidate that will deliver quality leadership for the nation. Now, this is also a reminder to get your PVC ready to enable you decide who leads you. It's time for a short break now. We will be right back with more. To Kaduna State now, in a quest to revive reading culture and writing skills among schools in the country, Universal Writers and Authors has organized inter-secondary schools essay writing competition for secondary school students across the 3 senatorial zones in Kaduna State.
Reading and writing culture has been one of the major keys to every student's success over the years. But in the 21st century, this habit seems to have been lost as many students now depend on digitals. This has greatly affected the academic performance of many students, hence the need to restore the reading culture to give the education sector a new look in the country. Speaking at the award and certificate presentation to the best schools in Angwandasa, Kaduna, the president of the Universal Writers and Authors, Abdulaziz Al-Hassan, said the aims of the competition is to foster unity among schools in the state and to improve lexicals, vocabulary, and daily usage of words by students.
Also observe and consider that there were a lot of problems in terms of paragraph development, in terms of writing essay, in terms of grammar of the students.
Also, the Kaduna State Commissioner of Education, represented by the Deputy Director of Public Schools, Mercy Binta Kude, expressed delight seeing the female gender images winner of the competition.
Study, let them value education with a passion, let them continue writing, because when you write and you write, you move towards perfection.
Some of the overall best winners expressed their joy.
I've been studying, I've been learning more on essay writing, I've been prepping myself so that when I come on stage, I will deliver what I have to do. And that is how I ended up the winner, because I studied hard, I worked hard even at home, in school. I made people around me, they helped me.
I emerged as the winner by reading, a lot of reading, also sleepless night, making researches, and also I make a lot of researches and reading textbooks also. My advice to my colleagues and friends is that they should focus on their studies.
Very, very happy, even though it's not my doing. First of all, I thank Allah, then I thank my school, and then the organizers of the competition.
Over 400 schools participated in the competition, with 3 schools emerging winners.
On insecurity, as the killings in the country continue unabated, federal lawmakers in the lower chamber said Nigeria is a failed state and are calling for the resignation of the National Security Advisor. This is coming following a double attack in Plateau and Benue State, respectively, where many were killed, scores injured, and many homes destroyed.
Insecurity and terrorism have been major challenges to the Nigerian government in recent times. But the recent killings in a village in Wase, Plateau State, and that of the Guma local government and Churchill community in Tarka in Benue State have elicited grave reactions from federal lawmakers in the Green Chamber, following motions brought by Honorable Yusuf Gagdi from Plateau and Bem Nzondo from Benue State.
Nigerians are being killed on a daily basis, Mr. Speaker. The four angles of Nigeria, nowhere is safe. Mr. Speaker, what is beating my imagination more, aside of the killing, is who is responsible.
Why must we be chased out of our lands? Benue people are known to farm. As we speak, my people cannot go to farm. Hunger crisis is on the way. What again do we need to do? My governor has always been crying. The legislators from Benue have always been crying. Our senators are crying. Everybody in Benue is crying. What more does Benue need to do? We need to survive. The executive headed by Mr. President must know that Benue, our lives matter.
Even when we raise the motion, it's sufficient for the security to act. But they are adamant. Among the people that were arrested at the local committee who were their own informants and collaborators, one was communicating with them from the detention camp, communicating to the committee, and assuring people that was going to go out. And at the end of the day, he got out. When he got out, his wife was arrested with drugs. I don't know how to explain.
The federal lawmakers call for the resignations of the National Security Advisor for his failure to detect the several killings before they are carried out. They also blame members of the various House Security Other committees who have countlessly failed to submit reports to the House.
Until we stop thinking that everything has political coloration, we're not going to get anywhere. Because we have very well-trained personnel, security personnel. Why is the terrorists? Why have they sort of like overcome the Nigerian security personnel? That is what we need to ask ourselves.
And the president innocently will act on the advice of the National Security Advisor. So where you maintain somebody who cannot be able to see outside the box, or who believes in one particular tradition, I don't think we are going to get it correct. My submission is very simple. If the president means well to this country, and if we are really trying to look for a solution, he has to immediately sack the National Security Advisor.
Play the blame game now. It is a bit late in the day. We should put all our hands on deck to ensure that Nigeria moves forward and that security is installed once again.
Still speaking of insecurity, the Nigerian Army headquarters in Lagos 81 Division have paraded 12 imposters who have been using the military uniform to terrorize and extort money from Nigerians in Lagos and Ogun states. Some of the imposters were arrested at different locations while carrying out their illicit activities, two of whom were military men who had deserted the army. Our correspondent, Paul George, was there.
The General Officer commanding 81 Division, Major General Umar Thama Musa, alongside his subordinates, paraded some civilians who have been disturbing the peace of the residents of Lagos and Ogun states. In a press briefing, the Army General said the suspects were arrested by Nigerian Army military police personnel in the two states during an activity tagged Operation Checkmate, an exercise by the Army to checkmate the activities of its personnel on duty.
The first group of impostors were 4 in number. They were arrested at Ekenekenem bus stop in Aja General area of Lagos State based on intelligence. Preliminary investigation revealed revealed that they specialize in mounting roadblocks along Aja Road to extort money from motorists as well as indulge in illegal duties while dressed in full Nigerian Army uniform.
He stated further that Operation Checkmate has arrested over 150 impostors over the last 4 months and that they have been handed over to the Nigerian police.
All those arrested will be handed over to Lagos State Police Command for prosecution. Therefore, I'm calling on all members of the general public to continue to support the division's Operation Checkmate by providing information to the nearest Nigerian Army Information and Unit on any observed illicit acts and crimes being perpetrated by persons in military uniform.
When asked why they have decided to engage themselves in the act, this is what the suspects had to say.
My brother was a soldier before. Then he was late on Bediguri. So when he was late, I parked out from barracks. So as I parked out from barracks, I did submit the uniform to the Nigerian Army for the unit he was leaving. So I now carry the uniform, keep it from my house.
I said that after the wedding I will come back. Although my pass was already ready, I was the number one there, but they did not give me the pass, so I just took off on my own, believing that after everything, if I come back, that I'm going to be punished. The only regret I have now is that the time that Army dismissed me, they left me that I should go on my own.
And finally, on this week's edition, a non-governmental organization on health of Mother Earth Foundation is continuing his drive to raise younger and vibrant environmental rights activists. This time, it visited the chairman of the Bayelsa State Traditional Rulers Council to pass knowledge onto the younger generation.
For over 4 hours, Homef and this prospective environmentalist sat before the king of Ikbetiama Kingdom as he highlighted factors responsible for both human and environmental degradation in the Niger Delta.
And so he authorized it to.
He went down memory lane to explain how oil and gas exploration activities coupled with federal government's negligence have caused the people unbearable pain. However, the king advised these youngsters on how to change the narratives.
Take your theater round, campaign round. You could write books and poems and all, and even do comedy and sing around it. And then you can also take the oil and gas companies to court to challenge them for all their misdemeanor. So youth should not just go ahead and start beating people. There's a lot you can do, and you'll get better attention, particularly today with social media.
Homef gave reasons behind the Learning from the Wise initiative.
In our communities, we have persons who have knowledge, that have historical roots, knowledge of our culture, of our social relations, economic productivity, and other means that can help us address the issues of today as well as the issues of tomorrow. So learning from the wise is picking out those wise individuals, then getting young people to sit at their feet, to hear their stories, to learn from them, and so develop their positions.
At the end of the meeting, the young participants also shared their experiences.
I've learned about my roots, the culture so far, how I could help preserve our environment.
A lot of things that we were not aware of have been exposed by His Majesty.
And that's all on this edition of Plus Report. But before we go, let's to remind you to please follow us at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook, Instagram, and now Twitter. Also, do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica. I am Jacinta Obiugu. Thanks for watching.
The All Progressives Congress in Rivers State held a Thanksgiving service in Port Harcourt recently. Party faithfuls in their thousands thronged the Adoke Amesie Marker Stadium for the two-in-one event. The first part featured prayers for the nation, victims of the recent Kaduna train attack, and the party.
God gave us the riches of His grace, receiving us from the powers of darkness and bringing us into the kingdom of His beloved. Almighty Father, you are lavish in bestowing all your gifts, and we give you thanks for the favors you have given us. In your goodness, you have favored us and kept us safe in the past. We ask that you continue to protect us as a nation and to shelter us in the shadow of your wings. O God, your people are represented here by all the ethnic groups and culture, by all people of religious persuasion. We are asking you this morning to heal the nation of our various ills, heal the nation of mediocrity, heal our nations of insecurity, heal our nations of corruption, heal our nations of bad rulers and the led, heal our nations of ignorance, heal our nations of disunity, for it is in unity that we'll find strength. We pray that you give us your supporting hand in our new beginning as we glimpse the future, the unknown future, but a promising future.
10 to 14, and from the version of the Bible, NKJV. And I read, "Now as Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to battle against Israel. But the Lord thundered with a loud thunder upon the Philistines that day, and so confused them that they were overcome before Israel. And the men of Israel went out of Mizpah and pursued the Philistines and drove them back as far as below Bethkar. Then Samuel took a stone and set it up between Mizpah and Shem, and called its name Ebenezer, saying, Thus far the Lord has helped us."
Thereafter, Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong addressed the gathering. He congratulated the new APC executives in Rivers State for presenting a united front.
And the chairman of the Northern Government.
Hey, I beg, don't raise your hand up again.
Our brother,
no, this man. I beg you.
The Bank Amana of the North of Northern Nigeria. That is to say, He is somebody in whom we are very comfortable. I also stand here to represent the Progressive Governors Forum. All the governors would have been here, progressive governors. But we were told that this is just a small takeoff from Rivers. And so they asked me to come and stand in for them. They asked me to come and stand in for them. For those of them who are not here, their spirits are always with us. Especially to our brother, the former Director General, because the journey started from here. I am very excited today because 6 years ago, when we started APC, we came to this stadium and we launched the zonal campaign. That zonal campaign produced a brand new president for this country. And he also led the campaign. We came back again, and they said the only person that will lead the campaign again, it is an illustrious son of Rivers State.
You guys, the two of them. Now.
So we did another campaign, and we produce another president.
Hand up again.
Today, the APC government is thriving. When we were told on television that there is no APC in Rivers State, I am sure what we have seen today, many people will not sleep in their houses. Because God is wonderful. Some people will say we want to take it by force. In APC, we will not take it by force. We will consider the grace of God. And that is grace, that grace of God is the one that is working in Chuboke, Amechi,
Former national chairman of APC, Adams Oshiomhole, commended the party for standing firm in spite of strong opposition in the state.
Let me join all those who have spoken before me in appreciating and acknowledging the man who has invited us to join the good people of Rivers State in prayers. First, to celebrate the unity of our party in this state, and even more, the great people of Rivers State. I want to appreciate the Honorable Minister of Transportation, my friend and my brother, who has extended to me and my family invitation to this great event. But I cannot appreciate him without appreciating the power behind him. Behind every successful minister of transportation, there is a more minister at home, Mrs. Chibuke Amechi. I appreciate my twin brother. The only difference is that he wears Babadiga and I wear my own khaki. As you can see, we have the same complexion. He wears a high cap in order to take one each advantage. Let me also appreciate the speaker, the deputy speaker, the authentic comrade, deputy speaker of the House of Representatives, who was once an activist in the university system, Honorable Wase. We have here a man who wears a clean, white, brilliant Babadiga that depicts the purity of his heart. Distinguished Senator Indume. I cannot fail to acknowledge the
elected. Maybe it's also an opportunity to congratulate you publicly and also to congratulate our brand new chairman, national chairman, a former governor, a former minister, a former senator, and now the national chairman of our great party, distinguished Senator Adamu Abdullahi. And I believe this unity fits squarely into the vision of the national leadership to ensure that there is unity in every part. You can't have unity in the whole if there is no unity in the part. It is the sum total of the unity of the parts that translates to the unity of the nation. I am particularly excited because we have made effort to unite our great party in Rivers State. And today, I am proud to be here to witness with my own Korokoro eyes the unity of APC under the able leadership of Honorable Chibuke Amechi.
Your Excellencies and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the leaders have spoken. And why we're here is to thank God for what He did to us, to thank God for giving us the Honorable Minister of Transportation, and to thank God for what He did to all of us, and also to thank God for what will happen to us, to thank God for what will come to us. We will start here in Rivers. Youths, you go and interpret what I'm saying. There is a saying in our group. We say in Hausa, Zai kasance. Zai kasance. Zai kasance means it will happen, no. It will happen, no. APC Rivers Adumeka.
Thank you so much. It is indeed an honor that this is APC Rivers State. I know on behalf of the Ministry of Transportation, I bring you blessings, prayers, and congratulations. I know this is the beginning of the march for 2023. It starts here. It starts today. It starts now. In fact, it's finished. It's finished. We have done it. Congratulations. And inshallah, see you at inauguration. Inshallah.
We are here to celebrate God for the good thing we have in Rivers State, for the unity of the party in Rivers State. We are here to pray for God to receive the souls of all those who died in the train banditry incident from Abuja to Kaduna. We are here to pray, God, that all those who are in captivity should be released. We thank God for today. I am here to solidarize with a brother and to bring you good message from the people of Southeast.
We former speakers across the 36 states of this country, we are here to show solidarity to our brother and friend, the man who has kept us going. And as I speak also on behalf of the governor of Plateau State, who is also a former speaker. And we are very many here. We want to say to you that all former speakers, irrespective of political dispensation and political affiliations, we are with our brother. Because Rotimi and Mechi Chibuke never discriminate against anybody. He takes care of both PDP, whatever political party you belong to, he doesn't care. He's a man who believes in human being and believes in the welfare of all. So we must support him We are here for Thanksgiving. We will be here again for a bigger Thanksgiving. That is a prophecy, and it will come to pass in Jesus' name.
The high point of speeches came when the party leader in the zone, Right Honorable Rotimi Amaechi, who is also the Minister of Transportation, took the rostrum. He first went on a lap of honor around the stadium, acknowledging delegates from all local governments of the state. He titled his speech, "Forward with Courage." In the first paragraph, Minister Amaechi declared his interest to run for the office of president.
Fellow Nigerians, I stand before you today to declare my intention and submit my application to serve as your next president.
Listing his 23 years of public service in different capacities, Amaechi acknowledged the challenges facing the country. He offered himself to lead the onerous task of taking Nigeria out of the woods.
I have served our nation for the last 7 years as Minister of Transportation. For 8 years before that, I served as Governor of Rivers State. In the preceding 8 years before that, I was Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Within this period, I've also served as the Director General of President Buhari campaign organization twice. These 23 years of service have equipped me not only with great experience in governance and public service, but also compassion for the ordinary citizens of our dear country. After more than 2 decades in the public arena, I had wanted to go on holiday and spend more time with my family before charting a new course outside politics. But at 56, because I'm 56 years old, I'm a member of the generation born after independence, who has seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of Nigeria. I'm compelled by the urgency of our present challenges to place my experience and proven capacity at the service of the nation at the highest level. Those who know me can testify that I have always been a straight talker. This trait has not always made me popular, but I speak with truth. I speak the truth with conviction. So allow me to speak the truth here today. We are facing some very serious challenges as a country. These are problems of insecurity, challenges of greater accountability in governance, youth unemployment, and the scourge of spiritual poverty. These problems are, however, not the exclusive preserve of Nigeria. We live in a troubled world. The reality we used to know has altered in nearly every nation. Climate change has brought about food scarcity in some places. Population explosion has produced unusual pressure on resources and supplies. Poverty has become a challenge all over the world, especially in the developing world. The COVID crisis has placed unanticipated burdens on the budget of nations and put pressure on available resources. Transborder crises have erupted in unusual places and placed the internal security of many nations under pressure. We are part of the Sahel an area of the world that is subject to frequent terrorist attacks. Let us look at our current challenges as part and consequences of these global trends. I admit that Nigeria's problem did not begin today, and they will not be solved overnight. But they are not beyond the capacity of our people to solve. Fortunately, that process has already started. There's an ancient proverb that a society, and I quote, a society that grows great when old men plant trees, under whose shade they know they will never sit. The current administration, under the able leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, has planted many such trees in Nigeria's future. We have invested billions in infrastructure, human capital development, and made reforms that will pay off over time in terms of socioeconomic growth and stability. We have invested heavily in projects and initiatives that will secure a brighter, better future for Nigeria. I am proud to have been part of this success story. It has been an honor overseeing the Ministry of Transportation in reviving the Modipon railways and working tirelessly to create an integrated national transportation system that will positively impact our economy, trade, employment, business, and national cohesion. Have we achieved everything we set out to do? Of course not. Could we have done more? Undoubtedly, there's always room for improvement. On reflection, the notion of running for president would have been far beyond the imagination of the young lad running around the streets of Kyiv or our small compound in Lubima. Not to talk of the young, indigent student leader, mobilizing peers at the University of Port Harcourt. But my aspiration is not about fulfilling any personal ambition. I am contesting for the office because I believe that it is my moral duty to give what I can in the service of my country.
Now that Amaechi has declared to run for the presidency on the APC's banner, what really are his chances?
There's no doubt, like he said, that it's going to be tough. But with a man, Chibuike Rotimi Amaechi, as a flag bearer, which I know that definitely all lines will fall for him at the end of the day in APC, and all lines will also fall for him, on the election day proper, where Nigerians are going to determine their destinies. And I'm sure that with God that he has always trusted, with God that we have always trusted, we have also always believed in him, in the capacity that he has. You can understand the man we are talking about, the man who has respect for those who made him. That man is Chibuike Rotimi Amaechi, 2023 president.
For him, he will continue. Look at the railway revolution. Look at the road revolution. The Niger Bridge, what Fashola has done there. It's the same kind of thing we're talking about. Look at the border, Bonny Road. These are roads that people thought would have been impossible. It's as difficult like the Third Mainland Bridge of Lagos. And this administration of Buhari is doing it. We are also having the cleanup of Ogoni. Those are the things that Buhari government has come to do, that Amaechi will continue. Women in politics, giving opportunity to women. When he was a governor of Rivers State, when he was in this state, a lot of women had political positions and they did very well. And also the youth had scholarships. We had scholarship and bursaries. And for education to flourish well, he has to replicate what he did when he was in Rivers State. Remember, he won the best UBE in Nigeria then. We were in the board of Universal Basic Education Board. So if he replicates that UBE standard in the federation, the real UBE, we will begin to see quality kind of graduates coming out from our schools.
I mean, I'm happy, more happy than surprised, but of course, until it happens. My father said you don't believe in your breakfast until you've eaten it. So of course we wanted to see the declaration live, which we have seen. But many people are celebrating and I'm happy and I'm celebratory as well. But now the work begins. There's a lot of work. We have to go around the length and breadth of the country, reaching out to people, preaching out to people. And that I think is something that the Rotimi Amaechi is, that I know is very comfortable doing. So we'll be joining him on that exercise. Of course, we have interest in the state as well, but we're going to have to mix both.
there is a common saying, one with God is majority. Because he has divine backing, I already said, from across the nation, men will just align. And before you know, what started like a small seed here, I'm sure you were amazed at the crowd that turned out here today. A lot of people were wondering, where will the people come? People have even said there is no APC in Rivers State, but you are here. You saw the crowd for yourself. Surely, the God of heaven who brought him here today will cause every other line to fall in place, and the glory will be all his. And Nigeria will surely be better for it.
Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord? I said nobody. Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord? I said nobody. Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord? I said nobody.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am. If you no talk, dem go beat you. Na 2,500 I dey pay.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, PlusTvAfrica, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajitumobi.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Good afternoon and happy Easter. I am Destiny Momo and this is the news brief. As Christians worldwide celebrate Easter Sunday, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has assured Nigerians of the restoration of peace and more prosperous future for all, regardless of current challenges. Professor Osinbajo said these on Sunday in a chat with journalists shortly after the Easter Sunday service at the State House Chapel at Sovilla, Abuja.
So where there is despair, I pray that hope will be restored. Where there is fear, I pray that there will be encouragement, there will be confidence. Where there is deprivation, I pray that there will be prosperity and there will be abundance. I think that one of the things that the power of resurrection teaches us is just as was said today in the message that was preached. Yes, there may be things that appear to be dead, but the power of the resurrection is the one that assures us that life will come after death. So we're completely confident that, especially for our country, that everywhere where we've suffered deprivation or loss, there will be restoration. That is the promise of the resurrection.
And Christians in Nigeria and across the world are celebrating Easter and commemorating the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Faithfuls thronged to various denominations of the Christian faith to commemorate the day in prayers and thanksgiving. Our correspondent Ngozi Kao HSC was at the Redeemed Christian Church of God, City of David and Victoria Island.
The mood is of high praise and thanksgiving, obviously for another Easter celebration. According to the Christian doctrine, Easter marks the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Christians believe that Jesus' death is the supreme sacrifice for salvation, and his resurrection is a proof that everything Jesus stands for is true.
Let this Easter, for you, my brother and my sister, mark a powerful turning point in each of our lives. That say, I must live life the way it is written of me. You know? Otherwise, I'm purely religious. And that's meaningless.
Miracles when you move, such an easy thing for you to do. Your hand is moving right now.
More singing and dancing is the order of the day. Outside the auditorium, some congregants of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, City of David, speaks on the significance of the celebration and how it should reflect on daily living.
Christ went to the cross to die for us, and he rose again. And because we have salvation and redemption, we can live our lives as saints, God helping us, and the Holy Spirit that dwells in us will teach us all things and how to behave and how to live our lives like Christians, good Christians.
We're all aware Easter is the time that Christ died and Christ rose, and he has used that as an opportunity to wash off all our sins. So it's a time for us to reflect on what Christ has done.
This is the day that Jesus rose, and it means that we were crucified with him and we also rose with him. So all our challenges, all our problems have been taken care of. We just have to have faith and do our own part. For us, we need to live right. We need to live like Jesus Christ. There are some scriptures that was shared by Pastor Okeonuz on how we should live.
The people are hopeful of peace, unity, and stability. Ngozika Ohaichesi, Plus TV News.
And meanwhile, in Ogun State, Christian faithfuls were seen attending worship service to celebrate Easter Sunday, though the effects of the economy hardship could be felt as they celebrate in moderation. Our correspondent, Habiba Tajayi, who went out to some churches in Abeokuta, reports that the mood was serene but out of sorts. Christian leaders also called on the citizens to emulate the traits of the Lord and be hopeful for a better Nigeria.
There's no advice to federal government than God to intervene, because these terrorists of a thing, government cannot know where they will sprout today. But if God intervene, terrorists will stop. They should have patience. There's nothing that has beginning without end. And we should be prayerful. Within a short time, it will then be the thing of the past.
Christians to follow the footsteps of Christ. He humbled himself in obedience to the Father's will, and is in glory now. So which we will do whatever comes our way. If we humble ourselves and do the right thing, in the end, glory will be ours.
I want to say to every Nigerian and everyone listening to us all over the world that there's hope in God. We should be hopeful that everything shall be well and the Lord will restore. Who brought Jesus back to the life? And the reason why we are celebrating today is means there's hope for the entire world. There's a hope for Nigeria. There's hope for everyone who's hopeless in any situation we find ourselves. God will surely intervene in our situation and bring us victory. So there will be victory for Nigeria. There will be victory for every family, victory for every life, every state, every ethnic, and every group in this nation.
The Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Kuka, has criticized the President Muhammadu Buhari over insecurity, corruption, and division in Nigeria. Kuka made his complaints known in his Easter message on Sunday, titled "To Mend a Broken Nation," the Easter metaphor. According to the bishop, every aspect of life in Nigeria has been destroyed, while corruption is enthroned. He also faulted amnesty granted to terrorists and former governors of Plateau State, Senator Joshua Dariye and Taraba State Reverend Jolly Yame.
Crime is that they happen to be Nigerians living in Nigeria. With the news of the purchase of new sophisticated weapons, we hope that the president and the military will quickly roll out a strategy for routing this cancer that has afflicted our country. The general feeling is that the military has the capacity to end this tragedy. In reality, the military cannot fire beyond the radar set by the commander-in-chief. If the president can end this tragedy, he will immediately get the support of all citizens and hopefully leave office with his head held high. 2023 beckons and the stage is set. The challenge is whether we have learned any lessons from the tragedy that has afflicted us the last few years. The presidency of Nigeria is not a human right based on ethnic, religious, or regional sentiment. The next president of Nigeria must be a man or woman with a heart, a sense of empathy, and a soul on fire that can set limits to what human indignities visited on citizens he or she can tolerate. We have no need for any further empty messianic rhetoric laced with deceitful and grandiose religiosity. We need someone who can fix our broken nation, rid our people of the living dangers of hunger and destitution. Our presidential aspirants must show evidence from their legacies and antecedents that they know the country well enough and its severe wounds. Whoever wants to govern us must illustrate that he or she understands what has turned our nation into a national hospital and show us plans for how to discharge us from this horror.
It was a black Easter Sunday in Imo State as unknown gunmen killed persons. Details are still sketchy, but reports say the shooting started from Banana Junction, then to the popular Three Palm Tree Junction in Olo. Timber Junction and its environs were also affected. Eyewitnesses say many lives were lost. Police authorities are yet to react to the attack. And we're now being joined by the acting youth leader Ohaneze Ndigbo Worldwide Onwaswanya FCC, Jones. Mr. Jones, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Aren't you bothered by the incessant attacks in Olu community?
Well, every reasonable citizen, irrespective of your political, religious, social background, will be very, very worried about what is happening in the southeast, in Imo State, and elsewhere in Nigeria. So yeah, I'm bothered. I'm bothered about what is happening, and I believe every other person is really worried by the spread of insecurity and attacks on innocent and very soft targets across the southeast.
So do you think the state government, with all the security apparatuses in the states, are up to the task in dealing with this crisis?
You have to understand that the state government is doing its best, but you have to understand that there is nowhere in the world where we have absolute security. Even in the United States, about 3 days ago, a gunman shot through a park and killed a lot of people, and about many people are injured and are in hospital. Maybe we can say that the difference is that those who perpetrate such acts in more advanced and more secured countries of the world are quickly and most often easily apprehended or brought to justice. But over here in Africa, in Nigeria, we find out that our security agents may not have been able to really apprehend the sponsors and the actors behind these aspects of insecurity. Okay. The state government is doing its best over time, and we must understand, appreciate the limitations a state government has when it comes to issues of security and armed forces. The state governor is not the commander-in-chief. We have a commander-in-chief, and because of the security, the kind of federalism we operate in this part of the world, the bulk of military power, lies on the president, on the federal government. So, but I do not want to agree with those who might think that the security personnel have been totally overwhelmed by these security challenges.
All right, Mr. Jones, we've heard what you've said so far, but then why the killings of INEC officials? Because it is fast becoming a norm in the state.
Well, I would not be able to say why criminals act the way they do. The killing of the INEC official is as unfortunate as the killing of policemen, security agents, attack on innocent citizens, decapitations in Olo, and wherever this happens. Terrorists are terrorists. It's unfortunate that a lot of people, or some people, have been cowed into refusing to tag these people who they are. A lot of them are trying to make us think they are agitators. What are they agitating for? They are agitating to be allowed to kill their fellow citizens without being brought to justice. There is no sense in whatever they are doing. They're killing people, destroying our economy, destroying our educational system, destroying our infrastructure.
Okay.
So the killing of the INEC official
exactly.
is
Exactly, Mr. Jones. Having said that, do you think, or what do you think the government and the security apparatuses in the state is not doing right? What do you advise and suggest should be what they should look forward to doing now to help the situation as it is affecting the state presently?
Well, there are many things they can do from a civilian's perspective and a leader's perspective. I feel that the security agents should invest more in intelligence. They should be able to pick up intelligence from the camps of these individuals, of these criminals perpetrating this crime across the Southeast. They shouldn't be reactive. They should be proactive. They should be able to ensure that they capture, kill, or arrest only those who are guilty, only those who are behind these attacks. The situation is worsening because sometimes people, innocent people, or people who just who are peaceful in their dispositions are arrested or sometimes are killed.
Okay.
But the security agents cannot, all the resources available to them, be able to detect and find out where these camps are, where these individuals are, where the politicians who are sponsoring them are. How do these people move logistics to carry out such attacks these people are carrying out? They require a lot of logistics.
Exactly.
How do these logistics move? These are things the security agents should begin to do more than responding to attack and being reactive. Whenever these people are attacked, they run around and arrest innocent people. So they should invest more on intelligence. They should track those who are sponsoring them, track the actors, and deal with them decisively.
All right, so they should track those sponsoring them, the actors, and then deal with them decisively. And having said that, Mr. Jones, we want to thank you for being a part of our news and giving us feedback concerning the event as it's happening in Imo State. Thank you so much. We pray that everything will go right in the state. Thank you for joining us. And to move on with the news, we move to other parts of Africa. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, has deemed that subcontracting the UK's responsibilities, even to a country that seeks to do well, like Rwanda, was the opposite of the nature of God. In his Easter sermon, Justin Welby said, Christ's resurrection was not the time for subcontracting our responsibilities. He also called for a ceasefire in the Ukraine and spoke of his concern over the cost of living crisis.
Why there are such serious ethical questions about sending asylum seekers overseas. The details are for politics and politicians. The principle must stand the judgment of God, and it cannot. It cannot carry the weight of resurrection justice. It cannot carry the weight of life conquering death. It cannot carry the weight of the resurrection that was revealed first to the least valued. For as a policy, it privileges the rich and the strong. And it cannot carry the weight of our national responsibility as a country formed by Christian values. Because subcontracting out our responsibilities, even to a country that seeks to do well, like Rwanda, is the opposite of the nature of God, who himself took responsibility for our failures.
And from news outside Africa, Pope Francis has urged leaders to hear the people's plea for peace in Ukraine, as he implicitly criticized Russia for dragging the country into a cruel and senseless conflict. The 85-year-old Pope made his comments in his twice yearly world address to about 50,000 people in St. Peter's Square after a long mass. Pope Francis dedicated much of the address on the overview of world conflicts to Ukraine, comparing the shock of another war in Europe to the shock of the apostles who saw the risen Jesus. Moscow describes the action it launched on February 24 as special military operation. And now on business news, the federal government of Nigeria has announced that the new tax regime for tobacco will be implemented from June 1, 2022. Director of Technical Services, Federal Ministry of Finance, Fatima Hayatu, said these at a meeting with the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC. Hayatu, who called the tobacco industry a powerful one, assures that the ministry is committed to checkmating illicit flow of the product into the market. She hinted that plans were underway to engage relevant stakeholders to implement a robust track and trace system. The director said the taxation on a stick of cigarette was 2.90 kobo, but was now increased to 4.24 naira 20 kobo. And this followed ECOWAS' recommendation of 0.02 cents per stick of cigarette, which at the current exchange rate will give 8 naira 40 kobo. And entertainment news, Nigerian music star JJC Skill's son Benito has recounted how he was assaulted. His mom recently revealed that the music star assaulted her son, leaving him with injuries. In a video shared on social media, Benito recounted how his father assaulted him after he was expelled from school. And according to the young man, after his father picked him up from school, he attacked him on their way home, alleging that he sustained bruises on his face, neck, and ribs. He said his father made a detour to the beach to cool off. On getting to the beach, Benito disclosed that his father threw a huge stick at him. The young man said he decided to release a video to clear the air about the crisis in his family. Away from entertainment news and on sports news, Chelsea will face Manchester City in a second domestic cup final this season after they saw off league rivals Arsenal in a feisty Women's FA Cup semi-final at Meadow Park. There were few clear-cut chances in the first half. Arsenal's Vivian Nemir-Dema coming close with an effort that flew over the bar, but Chelsea were clinical after the break. Gurareten broke the deadlock with a stunning effort from the edge of the box before Jigsaw fired one in off the underside of the crossbar 11 minutes later. Arsenal could have gone 1-0 up moments before Raten's opener when both men spun away in the box but dragged her shots inches wide. Instead, cup holders Chelsea threatened to extend their lead with Sophie Ingley and Raten forcing smart saves from goalkeeper Manuela Zinsberger before striker Bethany England fired one over the bar. Manchester City saw off West Ham to progress to the final on Saturday, and so Chelsea will have an opportunity to make amends for their League Cup final defeat by Gareth Taylor's side in March. And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I am Destiny Momo. Many thanks for watching. Happy Easter.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am. If you no talk, dem go beat you. Na 2,500 they pay.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. Relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Happy Easter, everyone. Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Osayome Saleh, and today Manny and I are flying solo. Hi, Manny.
Hi, Owa.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you. Not bad at all. How are you?
What's good? I'm good. I'm good. I'm in a good place.
I like that. You're in a good place. Do you want to share?
Well, maybe when we start to talk about the matter of today, I might just chip in one or two, but it's a good feeling to have absolute clarity as to what you want as a human being. It just helps to keep you guarded, guided, and focused.
I like that.
I'm telling you. So it's a beautiful feeling. I'm looking forward to resuming my school tours where I counsel young people. Because that clarity, you can't trade that for anything in the world. If you have clarity as to what you're doing, you won't be so bothered about, so many things.
Yeah, because it gives you this sense of liberty. You just feel that you can fly, and I like that.
Yeah, I like that word. And honestly, I'm about to fly. How was your week? It's Friday.
Oh, my week has been very good. Very, very good. Like today, public holiday, so we had to rest.
And Manny now calls me up that, are we on the show today?
Yeah, because I thought we were going to be holidaying.
Welcome to the media world. The media does not holiday.
I see. Now I see. So I had to program my mind like, okay, fine, you're going to rest till this time, and then you start getting ready to go to TV.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you look amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You too.
I love the combination.
I also love the shoulder thingy.
Oh, yeah, that's my asset.
I know.
But my sister actually gave me this lovely dress. She said, "Well, I don't like it. It's your style." I said, "Thank you. Please bring it."
You're looking peng. Let me say what they just used.
Yes, so peng. Thank you so much. So today we're discussing off of the back of the domestic violence case that's been ongoing, because on Ways we try to find practical solutions, right? And as to certain challenges, so we don't just want to just talk about it. We want to be able to see how we can walk a lot of people step by step, how you can do certain things, to get yourself out of those murky situations.
Yes.
And we're discussing how you can approach domestic violence, financially and legally. And here's what we found as today's quote: "You are in a relationship to be happy, to smile, to laugh, and to make good memories, not to be constantly upset, to feel hurt, or to cry." This is from Anonymous. I mean, when you hear people that I'm in a marriage, I'm in a this, I'm in a that, it shouldn't be all, blood, tears, and all of that. If you are not in a relationship that makes you happy, that makes you excited, looking forward to going back home and all of that, my dear, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, because there's something we say, especially in this part of the world, we actually have this belief that marriage is supposed to be endured, not enjoyed. So that's what.
And I hate that phrase when you say, your children are involved, just manage. Manage now, the person is 6 feet under.
Oh, honestly.
It's sad. It's a sad situation, but we keep on talking about it, because when things like this happen, we're supposed to learn lessons from them. And if anybody's in an abusive relationship, now is your time. Don't think mine will be different. The person that kills somebody did not plan to kill the person.
Yeah.
Sometimes things just happen. All right, so domestic violence, also called domestic abuse or family violence, is violence or other abuse that occurs in a domestic setting, such as in a marriage or cohabitation. Domestic violence is often used as a synonym for intimate partner violence, which is committed by one of the people in an intimate relationship against the other person, and can take place in either heterosexual or same-sex relationship or between former spouses or partners. Now, Trish Okereke, she's here to discuss the practical, legal, and financial approach to violence, or to violent spouses, right? That's the conversation. Practical, legal, and financial approach to violent spouses. But first, let's take a break to see what we found in the news.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating. and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
Alright, you're still watching Ways. Now, to honor and mark the birthday of the greatest artist of all time, Italian polymath Leonardo da Vinci, UNESCO General Conference in 2012 declared April 15th World Art Day. It's a celebration to encourage the development, distribution and enjoyment of art on this day annually. Now, art encourages creativity, innovation and cultural diversity for individuals all over the world, and it plays a vital role in information exchange, curiosity and discussions rather. And these are attributes that art has always had and will continue to have if we continue to support conditions that protect artists and the artistic freedoms that they express. So, World Art Day. Are you an art lover?
Oh, I'm an art lover.
Yeah, are you a collector?
I am a collector. if you come to my house, my office, you will know that I love art. Yeah, so I'm a collector. I'll say that. I just like all things beautiful. You know, I just like to see how you just put color to paper, the canvas, and then it becomes something else. Yes, I love art. So happy Art Day, everyone.
Yeah, I was going to say that. How do you feel when you walk into a room that is filled with
art?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's for art lovers. That's like being in heaven. It's just this warm feeling that you get from it. You just feel like, okay, I'm supposed to be here, and you're happy there.
I love art pieces. I mean, beautiful art pieces. I'm a fan of those.
Oh, that's good.
But my friend, when you go to our house,
it's everywhere.
Oh Lord have mercy. Because the husband now started, he just loves art, but he then now started to start collecting. You know, he gave me a beautiful picture. Beautiful as a face, different colors, lovely. Every time I see it, I say, oh, that's a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
All right, so what did you find for us in the news?
Okay, 44.6% of voters registered since 2021 are invalid, says INEC. This is very troubling. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has said 44.6% of voters who have registered since 2021 are invalid. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, said only 1,390,519, that's over 55% of Nigerians, have registered since 2021. When the commission began another registration. So Yakubu said this on Wednesday in Abuja at a media conference. This is a challenging development, Yakubu said, adding the affected persons would need to re-register. He also said that only 10 of the 18 registered political parties have notified the commission of their primaries, and he urged the remaining parties to do the needful and for all the parties strictly follow electoral laws and other guidelines. Yeah.
Let me hear your take on this first.
I think this is very, 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 very troubling. While we are talking about the elections that are going to take place in a matter of months, and then they are telling us that there are only a certain percent of valid registered voters. That is worrisome. So who is going to vote?
So, you know, remember there was a time that one of the presidential aspirants, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I think, that was him. Yeah. You remember he came out to say that go and register your voter's card is not valid.
Just some months ago.
Yeah. Everybody came at him. So you're seeing that sometimes there's no smoke
without fire. And now this is INEC saying this. How can we have only 44.6? So normally we even know that when you have 100% people register to vote, not everybody is going to come out. So now we only have 44.6% of voters registered voters. And we know that of these 44%, it's just a fraction that will come out on the day. So how are we going to deal with this thing? We want a different leader. We are talking about, you know, bringing in somebody that would help us to rebuild Nigeria and everything. And we do not even have registered voters. I think that
this is really scary.
This is scary.
So I just think maybe everybody should just go and revalidate your, what's it called, your voters, to be sure
just
that
to be certain,
just to be sure that
you don't fall into the category of people that need re-registration, and then you only find out on the day
of the election, because that would be catastrophic.
Yes.
All right. So my story is actually quite interesting because I passed through that route when I was on my way here. Heavy security as tolling resumes at Lekki Ikoyi Bridge. They says there was heavy presence of security. I think as of this morning, where about 5 security vehicles and many policemen had been stationed on that bridge, and this is in line with, you know, they are supposed to resume payments from the 15th. They reopened the bridge. You could see that they were testing the what's it called, the payment. Yeah, they've been testing. So officially, because they said they would open it April 1st, then the payment will resume April 15th. So officially, the payment is supposed to resume tomorrow. Today, is today 15th?
Today.
Oh, it's supposed to do today. 15th, oh, wow. Okay. So, but when I passed there was not so much heavy traffic, you know. So
do you think they were paying?
Well, I wouldn't know because I didn't go through the bridge.
And then today is a public holiday.
I just went through Admiralty and went around the bridge. So I didn't go, you know, towards the bridge. So I'm just saying that, you know.
What do you think about this?
So I'm just a bit uncomfortable because if you feel like you still need security personnel to man that bridge toll because you're reopening, does that not tell you that there's a deeper problem? Meaning that maybe you should just sit down and talk to the people that feel hurt and offended to say, you know what,
and find a way around it.
You know, instead of using your security forces to
bully
people. You don't have to do that because this is just a clear sign of bully. You know, you want to show of force. I will show you who is the Yoga and all of that. But it doesn't pay us in any way, right?
Because when we try to bully, when we do things like this, we're trying to undermine the lives that were actually lost, you know, during this NSAS thingy. And I don't think it's the right way to go.
Absolutely not the right way to go. No. So, well, we'll keep on watching them. We'll see how it goes. But I don't think anything is going to really happen because, again, the shooting and everything that happened really happened not at that particular toll.
Yes, exactly, yes.
It happened at the other toll, so maybe that's why.
I think this might fly. I don't know.
It's relatively. Wait, so even if it's flying, why are they now putting security personnel?
Yeah, they're afraid because they know that people are still angry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people are still angry.
So we'll take a break now. When we come back from the break, we want to discuss practical legal and financial approach to handling a violent spouse. That's the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, according to WHO, intimate partner violence is one of the most common forms of violence against women and includes physical, sexual, and emotional abuse and controlling behaviors by an intimate partner. Although there is a growing body of knowledge about the magnitude, partners, and risk factors associated with the IPV, right, that's the intimate partner violence, many research gaps remain, and including patterns of women's responses to violence and the effect of the intimate partner violence on children. Expanding the knowledge base and disseminating existing and new information will lead to to better programs and strategies. And we are asking tonight, what are some of these practical and legal and financial approach that we can use in dealing with partner, especially intimate partner violence, right? And that's the conversation for tonight. Now let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation, send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at WayShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. All right, so I'm going to hear your thoughts, Manny, in a minute, and I'll bring in Trish. I just want to hear your thoughts, you know, because again, we talked about this thing, everybody's talking about Osinachi. God, I mean, receives her soul. We're praying for her children, you know, because right now is a loss. Both father, mother, because the man, if he's found wanting, he might eventually go to jail.
Yeah.
And there will not be anybody to take care of those children. But when you hear things like this, right, what comes to your mind, first of all? You know, in how do people actually just, you know, say, I think I've had it, I need to be strategic about this person that I have landed in one chance with. You know, because I just believe any violent partner is one chance, serious one, you have entered. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for me, I just think that the cases of domestic violence, especially physical domestic violence, they're on the rise in Nigeria, affecting up to 30% of the population.
Absolutely.
Regardless of your age, your tribe, your religion, or social status. And one thing we need to see is that most of these perpetrators of domestic violence are actually victims themselves. So if we continue to talk about just these victims, we might not be able to make progress. We just see that we are rigmaroling and we're not coming up with solutions.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that we should look properly at the reasons why these women don't leave. You know, it's very easy for people to say, why don't you leave? Why didn't she leave? You know, but we don't not. This continues to happen, and then it becomes a cycle. You see children grow up and become this person, you know. So how do we nip it in the bud? How do we stop it?
We like butcher it and just completely
just
bury it.
Bury it, throw it away.
Absolutely. So let me bring in Trish Okereke. She is the Executive Director and Legal and Corporate Services for a downstream oil and gas company. She is a United States of America attorney who trained in the United Kingdom with master's degree in commercial law and multiple certifications in public procurement practice, international trading, and commercial business transactional law. Now, she's an international professional, contract manager, certified international negotiator. She's what we refer to as a commercial expert in private commercial practice field with experience spanning well over 23 years practice in law. She spent about 19 years at the Nigerian bar and started her career as early as when she was 16 years old as a legal secretary in London property firm. She has been married for the past 17 years and she has 3 boys, 2 of whom are teenagers, and she's joined us live in studio. And might I add, she's an amazing person because you are, thank you so much, first of all, to lending your voice, because I hear that this is actually close to home for you. So when Manny put that call through, it was in a heartbeat. You said, I'll be here, and thank you so much. We're honored to have you here with us tonight. So so again, this conversation is spanning across a lot of things that happened in the last 1-2 weeks in the media, where, you know, there was a case of domestic violence that ended the life of an amazing person. So just recently, I think yesterday, I was reading a story where a partner was talking about how she was in 2 relationships and she was beating blue black. This is like a tennis star. So she's not like she does not have the capacity to be by herself, right? So do you want to quickly touch on why do we still have cases of domestic violence? Then before we then even move into the practical, legal and financial approach to handling a violent spouse.
I think the first thing that comes to my mind why women would find themselves in situations of domestic violence is mainly, the first one is culture, upbringing. You know, if you start off training a child in a particular set of mind and you tell them that this is acceptable, this is not acceptable, then they know to look for things that aren't acceptable, especially when you're dating someone. Then you can say, oh, no, this is not for me. Because by the time you get over the cultural mindset and you've entered the relationship, then it becomes fear. You know, the first thing is we need to train our children, boy or girl, of the acceptable behavior with the other partner. Because most times women don't know their value. You know, they've either seen their mother being beat up, they've seen their father abuse themselves or their siblings or even their mother, and they are not able to quantify that this is not acceptable.
It's not normal.
So they've grown with this mindset that this is the norm. This is love. So most times, they equate this acceptance to the love that they've always known. So they don't know any better. You know, so it's from young. It's when you see, I mean, how do animals that don't actually speak words learn? They learn by nurture. They've seen their parents do something, and that's where it starts from.
Trish, I think that's actually outstanding. You said something. You said children can actually see this and think that this is love.
Yeah.
Because in their mind, when a man and a woman decide
my daddy loves my mommy.
Yeah, so
if he does this to mommy,
it's a show of love.
Yeah, it's a show of love.
Yeah. This is the way to.
You know, so it's interesting that we're discussing this on a Friday where we usually talk business. It was really deliberate because, again, we've always on this table spoken to the fact that it's important for women to be financially free from a lot of things, right? It's important to have the financial liberty, to have the power to be able to earn money and all of that. So this case of a woman that has the capacity to actually, like, literally walk in the moon because her talent truly paved way for her before kings and, you know, queens and all of that. She could do anything with that voice, right? How are we still stuck with a violent spouse that we're not able to see that this I can actually go on my own, given that even the money is being controlled by the person, the money you are earning? So what exactly do you think would have been the thought process of that kind of a person, you know?
I think it's important for women to know that it's important when you enter into marriage to be financially able. You must be able to own your own craft and be able to earn, and also keep what you're earning away from the marriage, because a lot of people mistake when you first marry, they're like, well, let's have joint accounts, let's do these things together, your talents that will manage. No, we need to delineate between the finances of the marriage and the love. I can love you, I can be with you, I can be your spouse, raise children, but it's actually separate from my career. It's separate from, you know, me, you know, making money. And it's important for women to understand that it's okay to have that line drawn, because a lot of us don't draw it. You know, you have men say, oh, I want you to join my business, or I want to help you out, and before you know it, we're doing it together. And because the man is the head of the family, you are definitely going to be subordinate. It's very rare to see a man who allows the two, the wife and himself, to occupy that space equally, to be kings equally. This is the reason why it's important for us to keep our own way. Yes, we can do together, we can plan our future, but it's okay if we don't have to merge, you know, our finances together, because that's where the problem starts from. It's always financial. It always. If it's not a man beating a woman or being angry with her for the money she's making and not bringing it to the center, or from the fact that you're making a lot of money, I want to get in, what are you making, you know, bring it to the center again. It's always finances. So we need to be clever in the sense that when we enter a marriage, okay, what are you bringing to the table? Are you financially able? Do you have a path? You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be someone who starts off, you know, having a house. But do you have the spec to make your own money? Separate from my money. Because if we get together and you're looking at me as, you know, you're going to help me out, which is where, you know, this poor soul, you know, fell victim to, because her husband, from what I understood from the reports, you know, going around, is that he doesn't have his own. He's her manager. Why? Why do we have to? Why do you have to come into my business? And as much as I love you, oh yeah, we'll do it together. No, let's keep it separate so that we will have less issues to argue about, less conflict, I think. So that's where, you know, I think we need to start off.
What you're saying is, before we get to the point where a man or a woman gets married, we need financial literacy.
Yes.
because I think that's one thing that is missing. People just think that the only ingredient that is required to go into a marriage is love, and they forget all other things that are important. So I think that financial literacy is very, very
that's the first one.
Yeah.
You need to
And most women don't know anything about financial literacy. They can tell you about going to the market, about cooking, about dressing up, about fashion and everything. But when it comes to finances, investments and all, they know nothing.
How are we going to do it as a couple?
Yes.
Yes. You see, that conversation is so very key. And what we find that a lot of, when you go to marriage classes, you start, that conversation is not properly had, because you need to sit down and say, okay,
with the experts.
What are we going to discuss? How are we going to, because we are in a world where women are getting more empowered now. Gone are those days where we would just sit at home, and even those of us who are even at home wives, we are so empowered that we're doing something with ourselves most times, and if you don't have that conversation, you will find that even if you're a home wife and you're a homemaker, it's almost like the man is doing you a favor, giving you money, but no, you are a homemaker. That skill to run the home, to manage the children, it's a skill. Yes. So he's not doing you a favor. So many times women don't even realize that, oh, what's your job? I'm a housewife. No, you're not a housewife. You're a homemaker. It's a job, because it takes a skilled person to do that, to plan the home, to do it effectively. So if the husband is giving you money for that, it's not a favor. You don't have to go hand in mouth begging all the time. No, my salary should be paid so and so. Those discussions needs to be had.
So should we start to approach finances legally? So where we have maybe drawn up contract to say, these are the things that we're supposed to be doing. These are your expectations. We sign a contract, to sign a pact that is bound by law for you to be able to. No, because
the only thing that will drive them anyway. They won't marry.
No, it's not about driving the men.
They will not come.
They will not come. And let them stay. It means that they don't have good intention.
If you both understand, so it's like information and putting it out there. If we see that, because a lot of people don't have that conversations at all, you will find that you've been dating. Oh, what do you do? I'm a banker. And what do I do? Maybe I'm a marketer for a particular company. That conversation doesn't ever happen where, okay, so how do you intend to raise the kids? Who is going to be responsible for the school fees? Who's going to be responsible for the the shopping, the groceries? Who's responsible for this? It doesn't happen. Only people that maybe had their marriage start from abroad that have that conversation. Okay,
because we're used to splitting the bills abroad.
But right now we are splitting the bills. Any African home, you find that it doesn't take one income anymore to run the home. True. If it's one income, there's pressure somewhere, and the man is angry. If it's the woman, it's very rare to find men who are man enough to just say, you are in your lane and I'm going through this right now and I'm going to rise up eventually. But that pressure is on the woman to keep hunting and keep going to get the money home. And because they're not earning, they're getting angry every time it's disrespect. But that's what we found ourselves.
I hate that word, disrespect.
Yes.
What does that mean? But you know what, Trisha, I was going to ask you now. Let's bring it back home to this conversation. There's somebody going through a violent relationship. She's currently inside. Because all these things you said now is preventive measures.
Yes.
We are already inside.
Okay.
You have entered the one chance.
Okay.
You're already inside that marriage. How do you start to approach everything you do, both on the legal side and financially? How do you start to look out for, since you already know you are in an abusive situation? How do you approach that?
I think information is power. Information is power, because most times women don't leave their marriages for fear. First of all, is that maybe they don't want to lose the status that they have from being in the marriage, because there's a stigma when you leave. Don't follow that person. Don't follow that. That's one. And there's also fear when they've had kids. Especially men, they will threaten you with the kid. I'll take your kids from you.
Yes.
No, they need to understand that women by law are actually regarded as a primary caregiver.
Yes.
So the law favors the women.
Yes.
So
most
you can
of them
actually
don't know that.
They don't know. They just think that I'll take it. Okay. Funny enough, if the woman decides that I'm going to get up today and pack my kids and go away, nobody can bring the kids back. They are with their mother, and the law regards them as the primary caregiver. Even the man cannot come and drag the kids back. If you use your clout and whatever you have, your means, you know, all they will say is, oh, it's the domestic matter. The kids are with their mother. It's not a kidnapping. They've gone with, the mother has chosen to take the kids with them. What women fear, and they need to debunk this fear, is that, oh, I'm not going to have the same lifestyle that I had.
Yes.
Well, guess what? The lifestyle you have right now may be looking good, but you are in fear. You cannot close your eyes for fear of you have not done something. What now? You hear your husband coming, you hear his honk of his car, you quickly run to go to bed to pretend like you're asleep. Is this what you're going to be living for? And don't forget, as your kids are seeing that, if you cannot live for yourself, live for your kids. Because you are setting them an example that they would take on when they grow. So you need to leave, and if you can. Now, I'm not saying that all men that have perhaps passed through an abusive position, because they're the ones abusing. And most times, you know, it's the men that are abusing the women. Now, there are situations where women are abusing the men as well. Before a man talks, a woman has stopped because he knows that the man is never going to raise his hands. But even at that, we need to understand that, you know, our kids are our own. We are the primary caregiver that we regard as. The law is on your side. So your fear is just your comfort.
Yes.
That's pretty much what it is. You need to just decide that I'm willing to be
uncomfortable for a while.
And then let me say something. If when you leave, you can approach the court. Lagos State is actually very good with this. They're very good with,
they have a
you know,
welfare
they have a welfare, association of bill. They have hotlines. They have all sorts. Even when you go to court, the court favors you, particularly in Lagos State. You can take yourself and approach the court to have child support paid. So if you are not in a position, financial strength, you can actually have the man pay, because going out now, it's not going to be easy, you know, by no stretch of any imagination, which is the reason why we always advise women, be up and doing. Love doesn't conquer all. You know, it really doesn't. And as much as you love, you need to also love with your head space as well. You know, you are in a marriage, a man tells you don't work, be doing something. I know of a very good friend that her husband never wanted her to work for almost 19 years. She never worked. But while she wasn't working, she was amassing masters. She finished her degree. She had 2 masters, had a PhD. One day the man ups and comes and said, you know what, I've been having an affair with my secretary. I have 2 children now. And stopped coming home. She dusted herself up, picked all the certifications and the certificates she's acquired, and went and got a job. And she was able to cater for her kids. And she wasn't in a financially, straight where all of a sudden she needs the man, the man can trust you as the wind goes, which is what a lot of women lose.
Yeah, but even at that.
You know what? Let's just go on a peep out, peep in break. We'll be right back.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Alright, so if you just tuned in, we are having an amazing chat with Treasure Kereke on practical legal and financial steps that you can, approach towards a violent spouse. Now, let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at WishAfrica1 with the hashtag Wisho. Mani, you were going to say something quickly.
Yes. So, Tricia, I was going to address what you just said. Your friend who got married, had a master's while she was at home and everything. So I think that is one lucky story amongst many.
Definitely.
Because how about if she had to stay in the job market, or what do they call it, the employment space for a long time without a job?
Absolutely.
I'm of the opinion that when you send your child to school, your child comes out, they should get a job. Marriage should not stop you from working.
Yes.
I don't see how getting married affects your career. I don't actually see that. So I think we should actually let these women know that you can get married, you can have children, you can care for your children, at the same time you can work. Because the men are also married, the men also have children, but the men are also working. So when we continue to fan this belief that women, after having children, should sit at home, then we'll have many women who are desperately stuck at home, stuck in very bad marriages because they don't have the means, to live, to cater to themselves and their children in the event of any issues. So I think that
there's a justification that men give when they tell women not to work, when they leave school, because especially if you've been probably dating your boyfriend for a bit and you graduate and he proposes, all of a sudden you find yourself marrying before you're getting the job. So your career hasn't started, but you're going into the marriage. Now, what the men will usually say is that, we want you to concentrate on the home, we want you to concentrate on the kids that are coming, and I think when you are that young and naive, and it's not even necessarily...
It's an easy story.
Yeah, it's an easy sell because, okay, he wants me to stay home, he's going to cater for... no, if he's going to be doing that, then he needs to agree how much is your salary for doing that. Because that in itself is a job. Staying home is not an easy thing to do. And if he's telling you not to work, and most times... women, they give up that right to get a job. They stay home, or the husband says, you know what, if you really want to get a salary, then start working with me. And what I always say to that is this, is you need to be clever and then assess. It's okay, I'm going to be working with you, I'm going to be seeing everything you're doing. It's not easy working with your spouse. It's very rare. Most times, you're almost like a doormat because it will treat you worse than even the secretary. The secretary goes home away from, but you are resuming at work together. You are going home together. So not only are you talking about the domestic issues of, did you cook today? What did you cook? How did you clean and cater to the home? You're also in the office too, being shouted at, you didn't pay this, you didn't pay that. So it doesn't end. Where would you, the view of what you're seeing of your spouse, you see him as maybe the MD, CEO, you come home, you see him as a husband. So it erodes, even the love, dies very quickly. After 1 year, 2 years, you begin to see the man in a different light. If he calls your name, you eye roll, what now? So I think to keep the love for the longest, it's just better for you to go away, have a breather where you work, come back, So I don't advise you, working all the time together, unless you have a unique man that is able to keep the lines, separate, where you come home, oh, honey, what are we having today? You go to, when you get to the office, oh, Annabelle, so what are we doing? It's very difficult to have a man be able to exist in those two spaces.
I think women should have their jobs. Have your jobs.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask that, so there are a lot of women that have gotten to that point where they never worked.
Okay.
They never had any kind of experience. And all of a sudden, maybe their kids are now old enough to be by themselves. And they want to be reintroduced back to the workspace. They want to start earning a salary and all of that. Is there, because the Nigerian law for employment, it doesn't really support those kinds of women. Are there things we can start to do to help encourage such women, where, yes, we know you have zero work experience, right? But you see, this and this and this, probably when you go through maybe a few trainings and all of that will brush you up, and immediately you start to earn. Can we start to think in that direction?
Yes, definitely. Thankfully, these days we have online certifications. We have, in fact, the world is much smaller now. You know, unlike back in the day where you literally had to find a course to go and do Yaba Tech, or you have to go to an institution to go and get all this, you know, a certificate for you to be able to work. But these days, you can literally take an online secretarial course. You can take typing course online. You can do a lot. You can get a lot of certificates online now that can train you. Now, if you don't have access to computer, you can actually join a
and so
computer
someone will
center.
be willing to employ you at
Yes.
entry level at your age.
Yes.
I'm thinking by that time you're approaching 35, 37, 38, you know, that kind
So
of
it's
thing.
information. So most times, a lot of women don't tap into the resources of the close contact they have. The first person you need to tell is your contact, your father, your mother, your pastor, your friends. Oh, I'm looking for a job. I need to work. You know, I've been suffering this and this for this number of years. I need to get out and go and earn money now. I need to do something. You know, a lot of times people don't realize that, you know, you can talk to people in your circle and even get a job. You know, and if you don't tell them, you don't necessarily have to go into the whole tale of woe that you have. You can just give them a little tidbit so that they can, sympathy is key here. You know, tell them where you've been, what you've been doing, how you've been limited. Because when people don't know, they will, I guess, they will judge you in the same way as others who are the same age. Meanwhile, those ones, they carried on with their careers right from the get-go.
But that would be good. That would be the right thing to do, because as a HR expert, if I see someone come to me and tell me that she's been raising her children for the past 15 years, and I have someone else who has been working for the past 15 years, I'm going to take the other person who's been working for the past 15 years.
But guess what? You give them a chance for a lower position, though.
Probably.
Yeah.
Not.
So, probably not. So, it's expectation.
Look, we need to let these people know that that gap in your CV is very dangerous.
It's very
to your
dangerous,
career.
yes. But we're here now. What about those who are here now? So we're talking to those who are here now.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't remain stuck. They need to get up and get going. You know, and the only way to do
if they
it.
see that flicker of hope,
Yes.
that I might just be able to find something to do. It might not be as it should in terms of maybe my age, and if I was following through a career, maybe by now I'll be director level and all of that. But if there's a small ray of hope that I can find something to do, however little the income is, and it's a decent job that can start a career at that particular age, I am sure that a lot of women will walk out some of these violent relationships, right?
I think it's giving it a chance, because you just never know. You know, even when you're starting your career as a young lady, it's something you're taking a chance on anyway. It's just that most times you're always thinking, oh, I'm too old. Oh, I've not had enough experience. But it doesn't really matter. You will find someone. I mean, I know particularly that I am of the opinion that you might come in and you've had a 15-year gap. Most times people lie in their CV anyway. You know, telling you lie. They do. I found that they say you can type, you know, 105 words.
All the time.
They do. So you are thinking that, oh, this person looks so competent. No, they're not that competent. The difference between you and them is not that far, especially when you're an intelligent
It's the confidence.
It's the confidence. You need to pick yourself up and keep trying. And that trial, I keep telling people, you need to tell your story. Your story is going to be the game changer for you, because you keeping it away and not being able to, or just lying.
This is a society that they tell you, hush, hush. No, they tell person, say your husband, they beat you for a house.
Well, guess
they
what?
Talk, because, I mean.
Okay, so let me debunk that.
Yeah.
The first empowerment to having your spouse continue to abuse you is your concealment.
Yeah.
You have concealed your ability. See, it's either the woman they're embarrassed, they're ashamed. What are you ashamed for? Did you beat yourself? What did you do to deserve the beatings? It's not your fault. So instead of being embarrassed on behalf of the man, tell your story. It will save you. Because maybe some men who can still be rehabilitated, shame will put their hands down. Because by the time they leave their hand and they remember that you are a parrot, they will think twice. Why did the black eye, you cross and say, Mama don't so, how did this black eye come about? You know, I hit myself in the door.
Thank
But if you say, Mama don't so, say, it's your brother Samuel. You have been punching me since, so the person will immediately adjust. The man, he might even want to give you eye. Say, ask him what I did. You say, I don't mind him. He didn't cook it. You say, is that why I have a black eye? Ask him for me, please.
So
that exposure.
Yeah.
And anywhere you go, expose him. That's the only weapon you have, because you can't strike him back. They are the heavier, you know, powered sex. We are the weaker sex. Most of us, you know, I mean, I know there are some women that are strong, but most of us, even when the strong women, there are certain places that a man will punch you.
I said my 13-year-old niece today, he grabbed my hand. I was begging him. I said, please leave me. He said, I want to tell you that I'm stronger than you. I said,
already.
And he's just 13.
Imagine.
I said,
so they imagine a fully grown man.
Now imagine when he's
hold you in a particular way. So,
but Trisha, I was going to ask about financing, right? When it comes to earning. Because again, some of this violent relationship is not that the woman is not even working. Let's say she's working, but her earning power is now higher than the partner. How should she approach that violence? Because I see a lot of women, some of them will carry their salary at the end of the month, they go and hand over the money to the man. Is that a wise financial decision?
So you see, the thing is, when we're in an abusive relationship, we think of ways to help the man to stop what he's doing. You know, because and with that same mindset, you think, even if you don't know, in your mind you think it's your fault. That's why you're trying to please him. You're trying to earn his love. I say to people, even when you're not in an abusive relationship, if you have to earn your spouse's love, where will you end?
Yeah.
It's a choice. You chose to love this person. I've chosen to love my spouse. They should have chosen to love me. You know, I cannot earn it. I shouldn't have to. If I'm not going to try.
And if you're not earning it, you choose to love yourself.
Yes, because when you are trying to give your money, it's not going to work. Because you know what? The day you give your money and the day that is not complete, just that tiny reason, he will flare up. Where is the money?
Beating.
You are living in, you are in bondage.
Absolutely.
So free yourself. If you couldn't earn it with just him just choosing to love you, certainly you cannot love it by giving him money.
Your salary.
It's not working.
So
it's not going to work.
Let's take some comments.
Okay. I just think that we need to break the cycle.
Definitely. By educating our young children from young, this is not the way.
So do you agree to, sorry, before Manny takes that comment, because we're talking financial approach, do you agree to secret property acquisition, secret bank accounts, where you just have some kinds of, you know, you're just storing money?
Okay, so I'm the proponent of the idea that what is secret? You don't have to use a microphone to loud it, but you've mentioned it at some point in time. If he doesn't remember, then that's not your fault. You know, I mean, you want to acquire a piece of land that, you know, oh, I'm looking at land, you know, so and so, or, you know, I'm opening a bank account, I have some payment that I'm expecting. You know, by the time it comes through and you've mentioned it, is that secret? Is that still secret? Because, you know, it's your money, you don't have to take permission. So for me, I'm more of the mind that once you've mentioned it, it's no longer secret, or you know, I don't want it to be, I even have a very close colleague of mine who, you know, is very bitter about his wife acquiring lands, acquiring cars without his knowledge. One day just see her driving this fancy car. But you've mentioned it at some point that, oh, I was gifted something. I've not brought it home yet. You've concluded the sale. It's now here.
I think you're about to queue.
Is it still
they will come for you.
They will come for you.
I mean, I just think
about to
it's
kill
not secret,
me
is
here.
it? You mentioned it now.
It's not secret.
In passing.
In passing.
Oh,
like
I should detail it.
Well, guess what? I know someone that does that all the time to his wife. He just mentions it in passing. And I'm like, so when is that supposed to be? It was mentioned before.
Yes. And you remember that conversation. So, but you didn't tell me the details. Oh, I didn't think I had to.
Yeah. No, you know what? I think that the ideal situation is I'm supposed to put my cards on the table. You're supposed to put your cards on the table. Don't try to cheat me. I'm not going to try to cheat you.
They always will, though.
Yeah, well, when you start trying to cheat me, they will go doing it the way you just said.
Thank you. So, justified. When you have gone there, we always get to that level. Yes, we always do. So, you start off opening your card. You start off with a joint bank account and everything. When you now see that you're the only one who put in and withdrawal is, you're like, okay, this is not. I know great couples who have joint bank, which is working for them. But one size does not fit all. I have examples where people say, but this other person is having joint bank. Great for them.
Yeah.
I choose a different way, and it's okay.
Absolutely.
Because one size doesn't fit all. We are not all the same sizes, We shouldn't be expected to do things the same way. Just the same way men don't like to be compared. Oh, this person is so romantic. Why would you now expect me to be jointing accounting with you when you know that you don't want me to compare you to another person who is romantic? So let's just debunk the expectations. It's all expectations. We just need to debunk it.
So first of all, don't go into a relationship, talk less of marriage without getting deep and decisive action that will favor you and your kids whatsoever. It's irrational after getting into a relationship and the devil just humps in. We all need to be prayerful in the world of today. God bless every woman. I once hit my partner because of her running mouth, but it was resolved amicably. Bobby Kennedy from Jalingo.
Bobby, you.
Bobby, you.
So that's the justification a lot of men give. You know, I've heard comments where people say, oh, women, they talk a lot. And their running mouth, their vicious mouth is equal to me striking them. How? How
your mouth should run too.
Why
are you beating me?
Why don't you use your own vicious mouth too, or learn to get a vicious mouth as well? You know, why would you think it's like me saying, you know, someone hit me, I take a knife and stab the person? It's not. They don't commiserate. They're not equal. So we are. Because we are the weaker, there's none. We are the weaker sex. So what weapon do we have? We can't punch you. All we have is our words.
So you talk back at us instead.
Right.
But the thing for me is not even about the weaker sex. That is a good point. But I just think that nobody should be hitting anybody.
Nobody.
Men don't hit the women. Women don't hit the men.
But you know, they're justifying that. Saying, oh, because your mouth, you're running your mouth, you are, you know, saying all sorts of insulting things to me. The only way to silence you, really,
is to shut you down.
But
that's a very big show of cowardice, and it's a big show of what is it called? That the person is still a child. Because I mean, you
can't
should
even
be able. Yes, you can't
yourself.
communicate. If there is an issue, why can't you just sit down and have a conversation?
And we tell our kids, you know, violence is not the matter. Don't hate. You should come and report. Now you're an adult. Your wife is running her mouth, and you punch her.
Hit her.
Does that make sense?
It doesn't make any sense.
Just no justification.
Manny, let's take some comments.
Okay. It says, good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying ways. This domestic violence of a thing, we can see it from two different angles. Sometimes the cause of the action is being caused by the woman herself. Some women cannot control their mouths. They are too insultive. That is why their spouses beat them. My dear beautiful sister, Trisha hit the nail on the head. She said Trish hit the nail on the head. She made mention of upbringing, and it is very vital. But all the same, no man born of a woman has the right to hit a woman. It is wrong. For crying out loud, these are somebody's daughters. You are beating, and whether the man likes it or not, there are consequences that are attached to it. Finally, no man should go free after assaulting a woman domestically. If a man beats his wife, the children are watching, and when they grow up, they will end up beating their spouses because they learn it from their parents. Learning such things are bad and shameful. My name is Daniel Ilo, Ways regular fan. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Let
me take another comment from Adi.
Can I just make sure that women, please, men also, there is no justification for hitting a woman.
Forget about
if you want to lower yourself to an animal, walk away. Please. She's vicious with her mouth. When she starts, shut the door and walk away. And let her be shouting at herself there. That's the answer.
Absolutely. So good evening, ladies. This is for your guest. How do you deal with a spouse that wanted to just spend family joint account lavishly once it reaches a particular account balance? This seems to be annoying because you all agreed at first to use the money for a family blueprint plan. So you've had a plan, and this madam will just say money the account. She goes on a shopping spree. How do you handle that?
Is this from a woman's perspective?
It's a man that's asking the question.
Well, the truth of it is that you stop putting money in the joint account. Again, have a conversation that this is what you need to pay for.
So once you notice your spouse isn't financially disciplined,
you just start giving them the money that they need for what they need it for. Now, there are some women that will be giving money for what they need and use it for something else. Then you just have to come up with a plan where, you know, I'm not sure what the household can be, but if you have like a cook or someone that can order groceries for you, if you know that the woman is not responsible enough, because there's some women, you give them 200,000, they will spend 50,000, the remaining 150 they will use to sew clothes, buy clothes and do whatever. We know such women, you know, and in order to be able to, or they owe debt somewhere, they're going to use to pay it off, and they will only bring 50,000, and the man wouldn't notice until 1-2 weeks into the month, and where is fish? No fish. Where is meat? Did I give you 200,000? Did no reach. Of course, you know 50,000 is not going to buy much, so the man will eventually notice. If you have a woman such as that, then of course joint account does not work. I don't believe in joint accounts. There are some people that it just doesn't work for. You know, in this kind of case, it doesn't work. There's no need to have a blueprint. A blueprint is only as good as if you both obey it. If there's someone is breaking the code, then use a different method. The method is that give her money specifically for the things she needs, and then she shows herself irresponsible not to do those things, then you change it again and say, okay, you know what?
Let me just order the thing myself.
Market woman, Mama Linda, or something. Bring the thing and pay directly.
Two people cannot work together unless they agree. So
That's
if they're not going to agree, then they should do things separately.
And we need to recognize the weaknesses we have in our spouses as well. So, for example, women also need to be cautioned. When you know a man drinks, for example, and he's irrational when it comes home, he's been drinking, and you notice there's no point shouting and trying to correct him at that time. Girl, you need to learn your audience. He's drunk. He's irrational when drunk. Go to sleep. He came home late. That's not the time to tell him he came home late. Go to bed. The next day, when he's sane, when he cannot act irrationally, you can shout on top of your lungs. Why did you come? Because we need to recognize our audience as well. Because just what the other commenter said, that women put ourselves in this situation because we run our mouths, you know. I understand what they mean. There's no justification for physical violence, certainly, but we need to recognize that as women, we shouldn't put ourselves in harm's way. I know women who, they start running their mouths and then they see the men going crazy and they're still talking. And even if sometimes when the man is trying to leave, they go and block the door. Girl.
Okay. We need to be careful the way we create narratives around violent spouses. For example, your guest says she can't earn the love of her spouse, that it's a choice. That same way, men don't want to be disrespected. You said walk away. Some women would block you and dare you to hit her. That's why she said do not walk away. Do not block anybody. I rather think spouses must learn to be mutually highly respectful of each other. This is John from Lagos. John, I think she has answered you. I understand there shouldn't be a reason for that a man should beat his wife, beat a woman, either verbally or physically. But please tell the women not to be running their mouths, because not all men know the right thing to do in that situation. This was Peter. Okay, well, now we're done. I don't know. You back.
I don't know if a woman can stop running her mouth.
I don't know. I think the most important thing we should take away from this is self-control.
Absolutely. And on all parts.
Know how to hold yourself.
We ran out of time. Before we go, thank you so much, Trish. Time just flew by.
Just like that.
Thank you, Manny. Before we go, ensure you follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment. More importantly, follow all our engagements on social media, like, share, and invite our friends and family to watch the show. We'll bring back Trish again, don't worry. So in case you missed today's quote, you're in a relationship to be happy, right? To smile, to laugh, and to make good memories, not to be constantly upset, to feel hurt, or to cry. This is from an anonymous person. We'll see you guys live on Monday. Remember that about the relationship. Remember that. If you're not having that, then you have to walk away. We'll see you guys live on Monday to bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.
and welcome. On today's episode of One on One, we'll be focusing on writing and migration. Now, writing is a talent for some, and for some it's a skill. Now, there are different categories of people who enjoy writing on different levels, and writing has become a required skill in the 21st century to succeed, whether you're in business, whether you're in academic, career, or any sphere of life. Now, Owamma Odefa is a best-selling author of romance novels that spotlight lifestyle and social situations in Nigeria and Africa. She's a media personality as well as a human resource professional with a focus on organizational development and change management. She currently lives in Europe and is a partner migration consultant for Euronationale. Thank you, Wana. Yes, you live in Europe, but you're right here with us in Nigeria and Lagos today. Thank you for joining us.
Like it's really hot and humid right now.
Oh, well, enjoy the heat before you go back into the freezing cold.
Briefly.
So thank you. So now let's talk about writing.
Yes.
Now, how does a budding writer begin to hone his skill? His talent to become a skill. So you have this gift, you know you can write, but how do you hone it to become so effortlessly at
Practice, practice, practice. I think that's just the best you can do. Start. Some people think, I have to wait until I'm perfect or at a certain level to put it out there. But I think just start with whatever you've got, put it out, then the feedback would help you hone those skills. And then also look at your peers. It's not something I do, but I recommend it because I always feel like if I look at what others are writing, then it can influence my tone.
Okay.
Yeah, but for most people, they find that it helps them to focus. If I'm having a specific challenge, maybe describing certain scenarios, then I can research that particular scenario based on how other writers describe it. But other than that, I'll just say practice. There are a lot of platforms for budding writers to put their work out for free. And then people read it and give you feedback, and then based on that you can, that's actually how I started writing as an author.
Oh, okay.
Writing my novels. I put it out on a free reading app, and it was just something I started out of not just boredom, but I was in a rough space at the time, and it was an outlet for me. And I put the first few chapters, and I kept getting, so when's the next chapter? So when's the next chapter? And I thought, and by the time I was getting midway through, people were like, look, don't give this thing away for free. It's too good. It's as good as any published work out there, so make money off of it. So I yanked it off from the free app.
Okay, and then?
Finished the book and put it on the major book reading platforms in Nigeria, Africa, and I guess globally, the major ones everyone knows. I don't know if I'm allowed to say their names, but they are out there. And I started making money.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Okay, so you've even delved to like two of my questions already.
Right.
I want to ask you, how did you develop your own passion for writing? So tell us, say you're in a difficult space, so what happened?
Well, prior to that, I've always been someone who loved to write,
okay.
Even as a child. Short stories, I was always the best in English, best in literature, prize winner at school. And even in the course of my career, when it comes to writing, even adverts, job descriptions, writing just generally comes easy for me. Business plans, all of that. I mean, it was already a gift that I had. I just had to channel it, I guess, and I get easily not distracted, but my attention span I get bored easily.
Okay.
So I could start the story and, okay, I'm bored with this right now. One of my books really stretched me because it became a living thing. The story just kept writing, like, look, I'm 30 chapters in, I'm done. But for some reason, it just kept going. So the passion has always been there, I guess. I just needed to find the right push to actually create something out of it.
Okay, so let's talk about money, because you said you started making money from it. Like every other business, does writing really pay?
Now, define really pay, because for some greedy person, really pay might be $1 million every month or $3 million every month. So, I mean, it's just one source of income for me. And right now, these days, you've got to have several sources of income. Otherwise, the economy is going to cripple you.
Yeah.
So you've got your day job, you've got your writing, you've got all sorts of platforms. And then because I've got them in several places, and some of those platforms pay you in foreign currency, so that helps a little.
Okay, so I know that you're a HR professional. So how do you find time to balance between doing a regular day job and finding time to write and also to read? Because I hear that for you to be a writer, you must be a reader as well. So how do you find time to balance this?
Okay, let me take the second aspect of being a reader to be a writer. I don't know, I feel like that's a myth.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I was an avid reader as a much younger person, as a child to early adulthood, but I don't read that much anymore. I mean, beyond business-related books and all, but as for prose, I mean, some of the famous books out there, like, oh, this person writes, you sort of write like this person or this author. Have you read any of her books? Do you know her? Never heard of her, or I've never read her books, you know. So I don't think that to be a good writer, you have to be a good reader. I think you just have to have imagination. And then, of course, work on your craft in terms of skills, actually understanding grammar, tenses, you know, the sentence construction and all of those things. But otherwise, yeah.
Okay.
And then the first part was, how do I find time?
To balance, yes.
I used to have a boss who did several things at the same time. I used to wonder, you know, and I used to pray, God, please just give me energy to be this kind of person. Unfortunately, I think I'm blessed with that kind of energy. I don't get that many hours of sleep, and I'm more functional at night. So I think I just find a way. I don't know. I think that if it interests you, you'll find the time and the energy for it. If it's something you've got a passion for, you do it. Of course, there are times when you feel overwhelmed because you've got lots of work to do, lots of deliverables on one hand, and I've got like, let's say 3 or 4 caps at the moment. So, but sometimes you might drop the ball on 1 or 2 things, but you have to be adept enough to pick it up.
All right. Okay, well, we have to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. And on this episode today, we're talking about writing. Wama is telling us of how she draws a balance and how she makes money from it. I wanted to find out from you. You write romance, and in Nigeria, this romance niche, does it really sell? Is there like a huge following for it in Nigeria?
First of all, I don't just write romance, I write erotica.
Aha.
Yeah. You know, so
don't
look at me different.
No, it's fine. I'm just saying for the Nigerian market. How has that helped in the, you know?
When I first put my very first book, Stormy Passion, on one of the, I think it's probably Africa's biggest reading platform, and before I put it there, when I started writing this book and a few of my friends read it, there's a group I belong to, some of them are quite righteous, you know, and they're like, oh no, this book won't sell in Nigeria. You know, Nigerians are religious, you know, Nigerians are XYZ. And I said, well, I've written it, there's not much I can do. Let's see the reaction. So I put it on this platform, and in 2 weeks, I became their highest bestseller.
Oh, wow.
So I beat out the business books, I beat out famous authors whose books they had on their platform. So I was telling the owner of the app that, look, I was getting this feedback, sir, you know how we are, we are religious in the outside. You know, so people read them. And then I did an anthology with about 20 other African romance writers, and they gave the same feedback. One of them is an LGBTQ writer, and her books are doing very well. So yeah, there's a huge market. It might be a closet market, but there is a market.
Interesting. So why don't you give like an advice, or what would you say to someone who is writing? And you know how with everything we always have this imposter syndrome, or how you feel this is not good enough, this is not good enough, you're training to the brain. How does that person move on from there? What will you say to the person?
I think maybe say to yourself, okay, yes, I'm an imposter, so what? Just put it out there anyway. And understand that everybody has these feelings. I was having this very conversation with a friend of mine who's the MD of a major oil company in Africa. They're like the biggest, you know, oil provider in Africa. He was just made MD last year, and he tells me when he's sitting with, you know, these oil billionaires and he keeps pinching me like, should I be here? So if someone like him
is having that. And I told him this is called imposter syndrome. Oh, that he's never even heard of it. I said, that's what it's called. So just tell yourself, remind yourself that you've come this far. You've already gotten in the room. Then you deserve to be in the room. So if you've written a book and one person has told you it's fantastic, then it's fantastic. You're fantastic. Just have that at the back of your mind. Of course, that imposter syndrome will always whisper to you. Have a support system too, that helps.
Okay.
I mean, I know some of these women who are my friends who are religious, but they say, look, Wama, I won't read